Hello everyone, good evening. This is Lena with Especially Made for Me. So sorry about the little bit of technical difficulty. My husband was trying to help me here, trying to adjust the screens and different things. So thank you for joining me. We are going to work on a wreath, of course. We're going to be switching to swags hopefully by next week. Just waiting on an order to come in, and I had to switch what I had as an idea for doing today. So I'm going to just do something that we've already done, but just a different look. Still doing a patriotic wreath, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to be doing a wreath this time with a wreath form, metal wreath form still, but without the already attached chenille stems. So we're going to be needing some of those, and we're going to be using the 21-inch roll of mesh and also a 10-inch roll of mesh, because we're going to be doing a combination of methods today. So I did not cut anything ahead of time, so there's nothing cut, nothing pre-started, so we can do everything completely from scratch together and step by step. I had some questions about different things on how I actually get things started and how I do different things. So I thought I'll do a video completely from scratch and do it live, and then of course it'll be as a recorded video for you to preview later. But that way it'll have everything step by step from the very beginning. No pre-planning, so we're gonna work it together. So thanks again for joining me. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the camera view for you, so that way you can see everything that I have before me, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you're not able to see me, or if there's anything quirky, please do let me know, and I'll adjust as needed. Okay, I'm just going to move my camera, one of them, over to the corner upright, and that way you'll still be able to see me speaking on the top right, but still be able to see the project that we're working on here on the table while we do the wreath. So I'm going to move the mouse out of the way here, just so that it won't be getting on our way. And we're going to go ahead and get started first with attaching our stems, our chenille stems or pipe cleaners. In this case, I'm going to be using white ones, because we're going to be doing a patriotic wreath. And as you see here, I have my 21-inch in white. This is going to be our base Deco mesh. And then we're going to use our 10-inch, which has the different colors. We have the red and the blue, and it's got that tan color on the background, so we can give it a little bit of a different view, basically. So this is how I attach my stems, or chenille stems, or pipe cleaners, depending on how you call them. For these, I'm going to actually use the full stem. Sometimes, depending on the method I'm using, I'll use half a stem. So we're going to just make sure that we're in our middle. And what I'm going to do here, if you can see here, I have the form has 4 different rings. I'm going to call them rings just for easier. So hopefully you can see that. Okay, I can barely see it with the gray background. So we have 4. What we're going to do, we're going to be skipping the outer rim, and we're going to skip onto the next rim to start attaching our chenille stems. So we're going to be using the second one, and we're going to be using the third one, or actually the last one, the inner rim. So we're going to be skipping. We're going to skip the first one, we're going to use the second one, skip the third, and we're going to go onto that inner rim for attaching our stems. What I like to do is actually start with the crossbars, what we call the crossbars. So we have the rims that are the round, and then we have these bars here in the middle, which is how everything gets attached. And that's where I'm going to start. So I'm just going to put a stem or pipe cleaner right through the rim, and I'm just going to pull apart on it on the opposite direction, so it'll be nice and tight, and then give it one twist. So this is going to be our first one, and we're going to do this all the way around. And the rule of thumb is to, when you have your first rim that you're going to be using for chenille stems, you're going to go the way around and kind of skip 4 to 5 inches. And then on your inner rim, what you're going to do is making sure that there's one in between. So this can take a little bit of a process. That's normally why I do that ahead of time before I come on live, or use the other wreath forms, because they already have them attached, and then we can just get right to our project. So I want this one to be really full. So I'm actually going to go a little bit double on my stems, instead of doing just every 4, maybe 5 inches, I might do a little bit more. But here's a different way to measure. If you don't have a board to measure with, or a measuring tape or ruler or anything like that, you can use the stems themselves. These are usually 10-inch long, so you could always, if you're in the middle, you can measure it that way. And that's a good rule of thumb also for when to attach the next stem if you go in 4 to 5 inches. So in this case, here's a little tip and secret. I mentioned about skipping a rim. In these cases, when you're using these chenille stems, they tend to move. So normally what we end up doing is gluing, putting a little bit of hot glue on it when we attach it. That's one way. If you don't have hot glue or glue gun, this is another way that you can do it. So what I did was basically use both middle rims to go around with the stem, and then make sure that I had a tie pull and then twist it. So then it's not going to really go anywhere. But you still want to make sure that you have your tight, when you're tightening it, that it goes more towards that second rim where you want your actual mesh to be, so that when you do lay the mesh onto the wreath form, it's actually going to be where you want it. Okay? And I just noticed in doing that, it wasn't in the middle because of course we're offsetting. So I'm going to move it a little bit. All right, there we go. Okay, another rule of thumb to use is if you're going to be measuring a lot, depending on the method that you're going to be using, to make it easier for things to be even, when you have those wreath forms that already have the stems attached, there's usually 10 on that outer or second rim and 8 on the inside. So you would need 18 chenille stems or pipe cleaners. So if you want to use the same numbers just for sake of ease and not having to count what you're going to need, that will be a good way of doing it. And then you'll know for sure that your wreath is going to be nice and full. So in this case with this one, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sections on this form. So if I actually was to do one in between each one, I would end up with more than 10. So that's why sometimes it's better to do that measurement and skip the actual crossbar. But I find that using those crossbars is very helpful, because that way your chenille stems are not constantly moving. Or you would use that other method I gave you with putting your chenille stems using the 2 inner rims. So you could do either or. Just wanted to show you both options. Okay, so we're up to 7. In case of, if you're concerned with how everything may not be even, Deco mesh is very forgiving. So please don't worry if it's not looking like it's perfect when you're starting, because it should look just perfect when you're done. It'll look beautiful. There are no set rules, just little guidelines that you can use, and everything else is left on your preference. Now if you would like to, if it bothers you a lot to have those empty spaces, by all means we can fill them in, and I'll go ahead and do that with you. I've been told sometimes that I'm OCD, so I understand if that if that bothers you, because it does look kind of empty. But we do remember we will also be doing chenille stems on the inside. So it would be okay if you leave those out. Just make sure we gotta keep up with our counts so we'll know what to cut later, because we will need to cut some of our mesh. Our 10-inch mesh, the one with the colors, will need to be cut because we're gonna be doing some ruffles and we're gonna be doing some poofs with the white one. So right now we are up to, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that will make it the 12 that I mentioned earlier. So now we're going to work on our inside rim. And if you're concerned that it might look empty with us skipping rims, believe me, with the poofs and the ruffles, it's going to be pretty full. Okay, using the same method. Oops, went on the outer. Okay, using that crossbar to help us, we're going to go ahead and put our first one on the inside. And what I'm doing now, instead of doing a middle one on the inside, since we have that extra one in the middle on the outside, I'm just skipping that part. And what we'll probably end up doing when we do our poofs is do something we call zigzag, just to make sure that we have our base fully covered, or covered the most, because we're going to end up just having 5 in the middle now, which is perfectly fine. Just gotta keep up with what we have. Alrighty. So here we go. We have our stems in place, and we're gonna go ahead and get started with our poofs. Okay, so this is the 21-inch. Normally, if I'm gonna be making ruffles, I do cut it to make sure it's all even and it looks pretty. But since we're going to be doing puffs, poof, 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 and this is gonna be tucked in, I'm not worried about it. So please don't worry about that. It's not gonna be seen. Okay. We're going to go ahead and tuck in between, right before our first chenille stem that we're going to start with. Okay, so that we can attach it. And I'm actually going to use that other, I'm going to show you something I do. I meant to do that. I like using one of these in between, makes it better, because what I like doing is starting in between, and I'll show you why later. Kind of makes it better for not being able to tell where you started. And then you can tie in your mesh and you'll know for sure it's not going to go anywhere. Make it nice and tight right in between the two stems. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to make our first poof. Again, since normally we go 4 to 5 inches apart, you can use that as your rule of thumb for the poofs, unless you want to make your base to extend out. So the bigger your poof, the larger your measurement, the longer your measurement, the more space your poof is going to take. So that's a trick that's also used for making, let's say, for example, a 14-inch wreath form look much bigger. So in this case, since we're going to be doing ruffles, I'm just going to go the 4 to 5 inch, and we're probably going to do some zigzags along the way. We just want our base to be nice and full, and I just unraveled that. Okay, here we go. Hi, Magua. Can't stay and watch? Oh, that's all right. I understand. You've had lots going on. Thank you for coming in to say hi. Praying for you both. Love you. Okay, so I'm going to be opening these up as we go. Okay, we're going to pull and twist so that way it'll be nice and tight. And please don't think that the measurements have to be exact. Even if one is slightly off, I promise it's going to be okay. Just opening these up so they'll be all nice and puffy. And you can open them up as you go, or you can leave them for the end and then open them up. It's entirely up to you. Halfway there for our outer rim. Next time, if my order comes in on time, which I believe it will, hopefully we'll get to do another method I want to show you, which is very nice. You can actually accomplish a lot with just using one roll of mesh, and you don't even need to have ribbons if you don't want them. And if you do, you don't need a whole lot of ribbon because it's very pretty. And it's gonna, when we use that method, we normally use a multicolored mesh, usually the 21-inch, because it covers more. But you could also do it with a 10-inch, just would need more material. But this one here, it's also a 21-inch, it's one color, the white one. And we can do lots with it as well. And this is the poof method. Once we switch to the other mesh, we're going to go to another method, another way of shaping the mesh. Basically, that's all that is. Oops. I just knocked over the Easy Bowl Maker. Good thing we're not going to need that, I don't think. We might. Maybe we'll make a bow. I don't know. We could always make one by hand if we need to. Alrighty, so we made it all the way around, and you can see, really can't tell where we started it or ended. And because we have that starting in the middle, once we go across, it'll cover that automatically. And I'll show you what I mean by going across. Now we gotta do our inside. So where we ended, we can go automatically straight across. You could do one more loop to even do more covering, or you can make it a bigger loop and come across, making sure that your chenille stems are correct. And that's how we move to the inside of the wreath. And do the same thing. I'm gonna open it up. Okay, same thing, about 4 inches. Now don't forget, as you're watching, please give me some love on YouTube and click on that thumbs up if you like what you're watching here on this video tutorial. Also, please subscribe. That'll make it easier for finding the videos later if you need to come back to it once you have your supplies to make your wreath. And if you actually click on that bell, it'll give you a reminder as well for when we're going live next. It'll automatically keep track of that, and when we have it on there on the listing, it'll let you know when we're going to be coming live. All the stems are getting lost in the actual mesh because it's white and white, but that's fixing to change. Okay, so all I'm doing with this here is just getting the stems to kind of going across, pulling to tighten, and then twisting. And this wonderful contraption to the right of me is a mesh roller. Not sure if I put the link for that on the bottom of the video with the affiliate links or not, but if not, once I'm looking at it later, I can add it. So do come back to it or message me and I'll make sure I let you know where to get it. I do have other affiliate links that are automatically put on the videos, whether I'm live or uploading, and those are for the tools that I use and different things. So do look at those as well if there's anything you need. And I do list the supplies that are needed to make the wreath that I'm showing you right now as well. Okay, looks like we're already at the last one. That was quick. Okay, let's open it up. Can I open that one? I did. Okay, so here we go. So what we do here when we get to our end, we're gonna do a cut, and I normally go about 3 inches or so, maybe 4, depending on how poof how big your poof is. Poof poof. And all we do with this part is tuck it in. So we're going to go underneath here and go under to where your rims are for the wreath form, and we're going to put it through. Turn it around so you can see it better. We're going to pull through to the bottom, and that stays on the bottom, and that you could tie with another pipe cleaner. And you see, this is where we started. There's the other pipe cleaner. Okay. Oops. Or you can use a chenille stem. Now if you can use the crossbar, but I find that with these, since you can tighten them up so well, nice and tight, it doesn't really go nowhere. Just make sure you pull. Okay, and then we're gonna cut. Alrighty. So with this, the other rule of thumb is you just make it as pretty as possible. It is not going to be seen, but you don't want to overcut so much that it could eventually come out of that, the tight. Let's see. So there we go. So it's still nice and full, all white. Makes me think of weddings. Weddings. Okay. So now that we have our base, this is basically a base when you just have the mesh and it's just the one layer, no ribbons, no other mesh or anything like that. It's considered a base. So you could add ribbons from there, you could add embellishments from there, or add other mesh with different methods to kind of give it the form that you want it or the theme that you want. But you could also leave it just like that. Very pretty. So I'm going to put it over to the side. These are the ribbons we're going to be using and some other embellishments. I'm just going to move it out of the way because now we have to do some cutting. I mentioned earlier that we were going to use the multicolored mesh. I'll move these out of the way. Make sure they go on the fast there. This is a Deco mesh that has kind of like a jute mesh, but it has the metallic colors. We have the red and the blue. So since we're making a patriotic wreath, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this straight just because we're gonna be making some ruffles. So normally what I do for that, once I know it's straight on my line for my measurements, I look for where it's actually the lowest. So we would actually need to cut here, even though we have mesh all the way out here. Of course, so we're gonna make sure that it's straight. So we're gonna find that line and we're gonna cut, or you could cut in between lines as long as you have a straight line. Now this is the rotary cutter. My accent is kicking in, but did I make it go all the way? So we're gonna just line it up and go all the way across, and then we can pull apart so we can have as straight a line as possible. Okay, for our ruffles, we're gonna go to 30 inches. I'm gonna pull this over a little. And I'm thinking I might actually, since it's nice and full, may want to do 20, but let's see. Because now we have 12, so we're going to change it to 20, and that's okay. That way we can see more of the white too. Almost want to go 25, we'll see. Okay, let's see how that's going to look. Okay, so this is the 20-inch cut, and to do our ruffle, we basically just put our hands on the mesh, and we're going to find our middle with our thumbs, and we're just going to gather it in like so. We're just going to walk it in and gather the material and just kind of pinch it in the middle. So this is a ruffle. I'm going to hold it from the other direction so you'll be able to see it better. So with the ruffles, we have just the little waves. Kind of looks like a little flower, a butterfly. Okay. Grab our wreath form, and we're just going to find our stems, and we're going to put that middle, we're going to put it right in between our stems. And we're going to do the same process. We're going to pull in opposite directions to make sure it's nice and tight, and then we're going to give it a twist. And in this case, with the ruffle, we're going to wrap around to make sure our ends overlap each other to give it that round look. And I'll turn it around when I do the next one so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. But that's what it should look like. And I think I am going to stick with the 20" because that way we can see a little bit more of the white too. So before I cut the next one, I'll cut this one to size. Oops. Okay, and this is our 10". And not to worry, when this happens, I always keep some remnants because there's other projects we can use that for. So I'm just going to put that to the side and keep cutting. Don't forget, as you're watching, if you're liking the tutorial, if it's at a slow enough pace for you, or not too slow, not too fast, please do give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. That's 4. Gotta make sure we try to keep up with our counts. I'm hoping for the next one, because I want to do Patriotic or continue with Patriotic, we'll be able to find this one in 21" so we can show you that bubble method. Good evening. Thank you for joining. We are making a Patriotic wreath using 21" mesh and 10" mesh. We just did a poof method on our base. And right now we're just cutting our 10" to pieces of 20" so we can make some ruffles. Okay, just a few more, and then we'll get started with, or continuing rather, with our ruffles. I know we've already made one. I've already lost count, so we'll probably end up having to cut more. Alrighty, let's see where we're at. We have the 1, so alright, we need 5 more. Or 4 rather. So already started with the 1. Don't forget to look below in the description of the video or the live stream. It'll give you the list of the supplies that you would need. Of course, you can pick your own colors and depending on your theme. And while you're there, if you don't mind giving me thumbs up, show me some love. Let's see. Alrighty. And subscribe. bad that Miss Magua had to go. Okay, so we might put those together. Here we go. We're gonna start making our ruffles. We made the one earlier, so I can show you what it would look like. I'm sure you'll be able to see it when I put it on. So. Okay, let's make our ruffle. And all we do, and you can put something on that to keep it from rolling if you need to. Anything a little bit heavy would do. We just position our hands so we can find our middle, and we go with our thumbs to the middle, and we're just gonna gather the mesh, the material. Like so. We're gonna pinch our middle. So it should look like that. Like a little butterfly or little flower. And we're going to find our chenille stems and open them up, and we're going to put this right in the middle. Okay, we're going to just put it across, twist, so it'll be nice and tight, and then we're going to have our ends overlap. We're going to find our two ends and make sure that they overlap, so that way it'll give it that rounded look. So get our ends, make them overlap, and that'll give you that rounded look. And then let's make sure that they don't push each other down, so we want to make sure that's lifted up so they kind of hold each other up. So it should look like that. Almost looks like flowers. I think for giggles, let's see. You might be able to see it better if I do it this way. Haha. Okay, continuing on with the ruffles. And we're going to do the same process all the way around on that outer side and then on the inside. Gathering our ends, wrapping them around so they'll overlap. So how are things in Maryland? Over here, the weather can't decide what it wants to do. It's hot, then it's steamy hot because of the rain. Okay, just finding our edges so we can overlap them and wrap them around. You can start seeing it come together. Okay, finding our middle and gathering. Doing the same thing again, finding our chenille stems. And putting this right in the middle. And then move that over. I did that once. I didn't realize that I was grabbing the stem from the inner rim. And I had the inner rim stems tied with the outer end. Didn't realize till I was almost done. Making sure these don't push each other down. If you're out there, since I can't hear you, let me know you're out there joining me. Making sure again that they're not pushing each other down. We want them to help each other stand up, so they'll stand out a little bit more. This jute mesh has like little things that come out. They're like little things that little fly, kind of like the it's like little fuzzies. Our stems right in the middle. We're going to pull to tighten and then twist. And then we're going to wrap it around, make sure our two ends overlap. So that it'll be a rounded look, and making sure that they don't push down on each other. So we had started with doing 30" and we switched to 20 because we wanted to see more of the white, since the jute mesh got a tan natural color with the red and the blue. I didn't want all the white to be completely covered. Alright, how are we doing so far? There's also a pole that should be popping up periodically. It's got a little eye on it. If it comes up while you're watching, while you're here with me, if you wouldn't mind helping me out by filling out that poll, just letting me know what you would like to see next. That'll help me with planning for the next live. I do have plans for the next one, so it will be for the following one. Excuse me. chenille still wanting to hide since it's white and white. And just pulling to tighten and then twisting. And again, finding our edges so we can overlap them. And that'll give it the rounded, almost like a flower, that flower look. Okay, looks like we have one more. Ah, these are all over. Okay, here we go. Finding our middle and gathering. Getting our ends to overlap again and making sure that it doesn't push on the other next to it. Now on this last one, we'll have to make sure it doesn't push on both ends, not just the one, after we're done overlapping. Okay, so here it is, just with the outside. Now here is another part where you can stop depending on what embellishment you're using. So for example, if you're going to make a big bow to put in the middle, or if you have a sign that you want to use where maybe you might need a white background instead for it to stand out a little bit more depending on the color of your sign, you could also stop here, having this poof as your base and still having your ruffles at the end. Different ways of doing that, just like I explained earlier with another stopping point when we were making our poofs. All right, I'm going to continue on. And for those that may be watching that had joined somewhere in the middle, I had some folks that had asked me to do more step by step from the beginning. Normally I cut the material ahead of time and I do certain parts of the wreath ahead of time to kind of save on time for the live. And I was asked to actually go through the whole process just so that they can see everything that I do. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer live and longer video, just as a heads up. Okay, just overlapping the ends and making sure it's not pushing on anything. Again, just going across, pulling to make it tight and twisting. And we want to make sure again that it doesn't push on the other side of the other curl, because we don't want it to be pushed down while we are overlapping. And because this is on the inner side and we have the ones on the outer side right next to it on the bottom, we want to make sure it doesn't push against those on this side. So we want to make sure they're both pulled up and they just kind of hold each other up. They gotta be good neighbors. Help each other out. thing here. We'll find our ends and overlap them. Okay, and then make sure nothing's pushing anything down. What we have so far. And probably on that one that we have to cut more than once, we'll probably end up using it, and I'll show you how I'll put that together. And then we get to cut some ribbons. Doing the full process step by step. Okay, just making sure that they're not pushing down and they're holding each other up on that end, because now we have more than one end to look at. Okay. Okay, here we go. Alright, so now we're going to go to our 2 10 pieces. If you were with me from the beginning, we had that one that we cut 30-inch because I, you know, automatic palette. We may not even need that other smaller piece. And we needed to do 20 inches. I think I might go ahead and use it. Let's see. Just to make it bigger. And this is how I do that. I just put it on towards the end, have them overlap, and just continue. Alright, same process. We're just gonna use our chenille stem and pull to make it tight and then twist. And we're still gonna gather those ends and overlap. It'll have that rounded look, and we're still gonna make sure that they're not pushing anything down on either side. Okay, so here we go. Okay, and we still got to do our ribbons. Okay, here are our ribbons. Ooh, excuse me again, those little fussies are really getting to me. So these are the ribbons we're going to be using. I have 3, and if we have time, if it doesn't get to be too much time with doing step by step, I may also do the bow to go with it, which will go in the middle. But these are the actual 3 that we're going to be using. So for our main ribbon, I'm going to go ahead and cut all of the pieces. Depending on what you're using, if you're using a standard wreath form, that already has the stems attached, you would need 18 pieces. In this case, since we did our own stems with the wreath form, we have 12 and 5, so we're at 17. And since my easy bow maker fell, I'm gonna go ahead and use the mesh roller just to hold the ribbon in place while I'm pulling on it to cut our pieces. And let's see, we just move things around in here, so I'm trying to find my little, I guess I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. I can't find my little ribbon cutter, so here we go. That's going to make the process go longer. I apologize for that. So I'm just using my board to measure the 12. So I always cut them at 12 inches when I make a regular size wreath. And actually I just saw what I was looking for. Haha! Love it when that happens. Okay, so this is something I made. It's just basically cardboard with duct tape, but I pre-measured it to 6 inch and 5 inch because those are the measurements I use the most. And then I just put the number, my measurement, on just one side because that helps me with verifying where I'm at with my count. So since I'm doing 12-inch cuts, I'm going to be going up and down on my 6 inch. And I'm starting at the top where the measurement is at, because that way I'll know when I go the way around, that's my one cut. Okay. So here we go. That's one. Okay, that's 6. So making sure it doesn't get too thick for me to be able to cut. Same process, going all the way around. That will be 7. Okay, and this should be my 12th cut. And I'm just cutting in between so that way I'll be able to pull them out. So I just need the 5 for the middle now, because we want to make sure this one is all the way around, because that's our main ribbon. Okay. That's all 17 pieces there. Sorry about that sound. Ooh. Okay, so just want to show you how I do my dovetailing. Just grabbing a couple of them. The key here is to make sure that our pretty side stays to the outside, and we're going to gather it and make sure the ends meet and everything is nice and even. Okay, and then we're going to cut diagonally from the outside to that corner, and depending on how deep you go, as long as you do a straight cut to that corner, the longer your dovetails are going to be. So I'm actually going to go closer to the edge because I don't want them to be too long. So you'll have like a little triangle left of the ribbon when you cut it. And there's the dovetail. Okay, I'm going to do the other end. Okay, same thing from our outside straight to that corner, and that gives us the dovetails. You can see a little bit better on that white background. Okay, these scissors, there's also a link to them in case you need to get you some good scissors. These are Westcott scissors, and I only use them for my arts and crafts because they cut pretty much to anything. I can cut through wire with these also. The chenille stems. But I find if it's too thick, even though the wires may cut through it, I may not be that strong to help him to make it cut, but the scissors are. So I'm grabbed a whole bunch of the ribbon now just so I can show you. And it cuts through pretty easy. Doing the same process. Diagonally across, making sure we get all the way to that corner. It's pretty ribbon. In case we don't get to do the bow, there is a playlist for different bows that we've already made aside from making the wreaths. So if you're interested in learning how to make bows without having to use any kind of special tools, I do have some of those on that playlist, just doing bows by hand. And again, if you like this tutorial or any of those as you go through the playlist, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so. That's what we call showing some love on YouTube. Showing some love to the crafters, those that you're actually joining to watch tutorials. It's by hitting thumbs up, subscribing, and even hitting that bell so you'll be notified when we go live. Okay, now on your, what we would say, secondary ribbons, not that they're really secondary, they're all beautiful, but the ones that are not your main ribbons, you would only need half the count because you're not using as many, because you're going to be alternating them. Okay, so you would basically divide that number by half so you'll know what you need to cut. Same process here because they're all going to be the same length. Can fix this raveling thing that's going on here. I think it's because of the type of ribbon. This one has more of a metallic finish. It is the 1 inch, 1.5 inch. I'm gonna go ahead and get it dovetailed while I have it in my hands instead of having to pick it up again. Alrighty, let's see if we can get these back on here to make it easier. And determine what happened. Here we go. Just have to pull a little bit harder, I guess. Last one, I think, unless I miscounted. Dovetailing, and again, all we're doing with the dovetailing to give it that finished look, we're just folding in, making sure our pretty side, or the side with the print, is towards the outside, and we're matching the corners, And then we're just cutting diagonally towards that corner so that we can have that dovetail look. And that's what it will look like. Okay, so we got 2 of our ribbons cut. And the last one. Oops, did it again. There we go. That sound just doesn't sound good, so sorry about that. Okay. And again, all I'm using, this piece that I'm using is just cardboard with duct tape around it, just pre-measured to what I know I would normally use. And then I just cut through the middle on the top, since I know where my measurement is at. I know this is my top. That way I know I have my full 12-inch cut ribbon. If you actually go to the bottom or don't go all the way around, you'll end up with half of a ribbon. So you'll have this the 6-inch instead of the 12. Okay, here we go. I think I stopped at 8. And I really didn't need to cut that many, so I'm not going to cut that because we're doing half. Forgot all myself. Okay. Losing my train of thought. Okay. If we need more, we can always cut more, but I'm going to stop there. So I think I overcut already. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place our ribbons. We're always going to use our main ribbon, and then we're going to alternate the other 2 ribbons. Doesn't matter where we start. Key here would be, since we have the 2.5 and then we have the 1 and 1.5 inch ribbon, to put your smaller ribbon on top. May not necessarily matter because you'll still be able to see both, but I find that it kind of gives it more view, more exposure if you put it on top. Okay, so we're just finding our middle, and then we're going to pinch at that middle. Another tip here for kind of curling it, you're just going to put your thumb on the bottom and run your fingers through. Almost like when we do with the scissors and we do those smaller ribbons, and we run the scissor to the bottom and then curl it. Basically it's the same thing. So sorry about that. Let me go ahead and turn this over. So I just put this in the middle in between the chenille stems, and a ribbon right in the middle. That's why we were pinching it in the middle. And there's a couple of things you could do here. You could either have the same ribbon going down and then the same ribbon going up, or you can alternate it. You can have one going down and one going up, so they're kind of like zigzagging, just to alternate it like so. Or you can have them both going up and the other going down. Entirely up to you. Again, there are no rules in this. It's just little guidelines to kind of help with making something pretty. Another thing here, if you're going to do other embellishments and you're going to be gluing it on, you may have to roll your stems down or tie them in, tuck them in, or depending on if you're going to do like what I'm planning on doing, if you're going to attach something to your stems, then you would want to leave them open. But you would always still do 1 or 2 twists to make sure that your ribbon is nice and secure. Okay, so we know we have our white one on top, so now we're going to switch because we're alternating. We're going to go to the other ribbon, still using our main ribbon, finding our middle, and we're going to scrunch it in, pinch it in the middle, and we're going to curl it. Okay, finding our stems and doing the same process. We're going to make sure it's nice and tight and we're twisting. Okay, another tip here, if you went down with one ribbon, you go up with it, so that way they're not, just if you want to alternate, doesn't matter. If you want them to keep on so it'll be like a zigzagging look, you can do that. Or if you want to then on this one use both of them going down, you can do that as well. Again, no rules. It's all a matter of preference, what you would like to do. You could do it one way one day and then switch it up the next time. Finding our stems, we're going to put our ribbon right in the middle. We're just going to make these go in opposite direction so we can pull nice and tight, and we're going to give it a twist or two. Okay. We're going to zigzag our ribbon. And we're going to keep on going. We're going to do the same thing all the way around, just alternating our ribbons. Okay, just pinching in the middle and curling it. Okay, finding our stems so we can put them in and get them secured on there. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, to help me with that poll so I know what you would like to see next. Also give thumbs up and subscribe. Show some love. And if you have any questions, please let me know by putting them on the comments so I know there's a question. Because unfortunately I can't hear you. You're here with me live, or if you're watching this after the live, I do check on the comments periodically so I can make sure, in case there's any questions, that I answer any questions you may have. Notice I didn't cut all the way to the end on that one. Must not have gone end to end. Let's see. Easily fixable. Dovetails didn't look good. Wanted to fix them up. Okay, so we're finding our middle, gathering and scrunching. Keeping it pinched in the middle so we know where to position it with our chenille stems. Just finding our middle and gathering so we can shape. This one with the ribbon with the foil and the glitter likes to be a little bit difficult when we're pinching it in the middle, but hey, we can make it work because it's wired. I find it's better to use the wired ribbons because then you can shape them a lot easier and they get to stay put where you put them. Alright, same thing. We're going to continue doing this all the way around. I want to show you another tip here. With your ribbons, if you have your edge going down when you're pinching, makes it easier for when you're putting it on the wreath to make sure that they shape properly. So try to give it a good pinch, making sure that it's facing down. If not, you would have to position a little bit more and play with it more when you put it on the wreath itself, which is fine. Sometimes I have to do that as well, but just something to think about as you're dealing with ribbons. Sometimes I don't do it myself, and then when I'm having to position them, it's like, I didn't do my own little tip. I turned off the ceiling fan again because I thought with the sound of the fan and the movement of the fan, it would create some odd shadows. And I tell you what, every time I do that, I remember that I did it because it gets really hot in this room. My arts and crafts room is not that well ventilated unless we open the window, because we kind of closed out the vent for the AC because it hits right where I'm sitting and then I get too cold. You know, it's either one or the other, either too cold or too hot. So we did that, and now it's like, unless I have that fan on, I'm really hot. Then I thought, well, maybe I could just do a little fan, but then that will make some noise too, so. Okay, we're just scrunching in our middle with our ribbon, and then we're gonna shape it. I'm gonna just have it facing me just so I can do it a little bit quicker. I know the time may be getting a little high there, so we can move a little bit quicker. Don't forget to subscribe in case you may need to watch this later, in case you didn't have the supplies with you to make it along with me. That way it'll be easier for you to find the video later. So you'll be able to just get right to the channel and look down at the playlist. And one more, and then we go to our middle. Alrighty. Let's see. We'll right on to our middle and continue doing the same process. And I'm thankful, Elizabeth, I'm hoping you're watching. I know you said you might have to replay the video, but thank you for letting me know that there was more instruction needed, step by step. So I made sure that on this one, we did everything together from the very beginning. So I didn't pre-cut anything. And going through each process very slowly to make sure that we'll be able to get the instructions out there. So it'll be more of a beginner video or live. I do appreciate getting the comments and the messages letting me know what you would like to be worked on, or like, you know, like Elizabeth did, you know, it's easier for her to do the reads and the arts and crafts if she's able to understand on the videos, if they're a little bit slower, so she can do step by step while watching the video and not having to constantly rewind and replay. So I definitely understand that and I appreciate it. So if there's anything you'd like to see or done differently, or please do let me know. And I'll try to see what we can do. Excuse me. Let's see. Can't wait to show you what comes next with the chenille stems. Excited. Normally with the chenille stems, if you don't have any other embellishments to put on, if you don't need them for anything, if you're not going to be hot gluing anything, you can cut them off, or you can twist them down and tuck them under to get them out of the way. That way they're not seen. That is the rule of thumb with that. I keep saying rule of thumbs for everything, but there's, you know, not necessarily a rule, just, you know, with the guides, guidelines, things you can do, options, variety. So I'm going to show you another one once we're done with the ribbons. And I don't know if you've noticed, I've already changed on how I'm placing the ribbons, because again, no rules, we can do what we want. Did I miscount again? I'm gonna need to check on my math. If all the problems were that easy to fix, right? Like we need one more of our main ribbon. That's why I was saying that. And one more of the tan. So I'm just going to unroll this one out of the way. Just keeping up for my one. Okay, another tip, if you need to do two at the same time, just fold them the same way. You still have dovetails on both ends. Okay, and we need one more of our main ribbon. Sorry, y'all. Wish my EC bow maker had not fallen. It would have been a little bit quieter. And I do have an affiliate link for that as well in case you're interested in getting that bow maker. It does make it easier for when you're making bigger bows, if I can say it that way, because sometimes we need a little bit of help and we only have two hands. And either that or the Bodabra, which is another one I love, they help with that, because then you can position your ribbon and it holds everything in place. Just like having an extra set of hands. Okay, just gathering the ribbon in the middle. Just pinching it together. And we're going to position that middle in between our chenille stems. Going to pull and twist. Alrighty, so we've gone all the way around. This is what we have so far. Okay, and we can do, as I mentioned earlier, you could do a bow for the middle or the side, or even do a sign if you have a patriotic sign to put on there, or of course you can leave it just as is. Nothing wrong with that. I do a lot of mine without anything in the middle because of the front doors. You know, sometimes most of us have those, what they call magic eyes, you know, where you can actually see who's ringing the doorbell, you know, at your door. And if you cover the middle, you're not able to see through it. So that's why I like leaving it open. So, but there's definitely options. I do a little bit of both because I know everything's based on what we like, and sometimes we may want something in the middle, sometimes we may not. So that's why it's good to have those options. So I mentioned I was going to do something with our stems, our chenille stems, and that's why I didn't fold them or cut them. I have a basket full with different size and color bowls. These are they're like styrofoam bowls with glitter on them, and you know, I get them at the different craft stores. Sometimes they have flowers that have these at the end and you can pull them off, and I just kind of put a basket and I just throw them all in there, and depending on what project I'm working on and what colors I need, then I'll go ahead and pull them, you know, like I did some for Mardi Gras. Have it in a different angle, so you probably may not be able to see that one, but that's why I have all different colors in here. And I got lucky and I found some star-shaped ones instead of round ones. So I have both round and star-shaped ones in different colors to match our patriotic theme, in different sizes. So that's what I'm going to be attaching to our stems as we go, and we can decide if we want a big one, if we want a small one, and so on. So that's what we're planning on doing. So I'm going to put them back on here just because I don't want the glitter to get all over, which is kind of too late. And I'll show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to just alternate. And the way to do it is you just find an angle that you want to put them in. And I'm going to try to get closer to the camera. And you would just push that in onto the Styrofoam itself. And then it stays in there. So you can add some more color, some more depth to your wreath, or if you don't use ribbons and you want to add a little bit something, you could do that. So what I'm going to plan on doing is add a different color, but do a ball instead of a star. So that way we have a star and a ball. Now you could do both stars, that's fine as well. And once you hang it, you'll be able to see that even a little bit better. It just adds a little bit more color and in depth, and instead of having to worry about cutting or in things like that, it's just another option of something to do. I'm going to show you that again. And you could alternate your colors around. Gonna add some white. And I had red on that side with the blue. So now I'm gonna do maybe a smaller blue. And again, it really doesn't matter which way you go. And you don't have to do all of them either. You could alternate. And then cut the other ones. Again, no rules, no rules. So there's that one. I did a smaller star in a bow, little bow. Could always, if you prefer to have more of the look in the middle, you know, with the inner one, you could always just do your middle. Again, we have options. I like having options, and I hope you do too. That's why I'm doing it this way. Do a small white. Where? There we go. So we got red, white, and blue already. Okay. So I'm gonna go with a small blue. Just alternating. Need a ball. Okay. Hope we're liking it so far. Small blue. All right, I think I made it all the way across. And actually, I'm going to move this blue one over. Do a smaller blue. Just so I can make sure we're alternating. That's the only reason I'm doing that. Alrighty. Moving on to the outside. Our inner side, the center is already done. Bigger white. Oh, I did it again. No star and star. Oops, definitely don't want purple in there. Let's do some red. Let's see if you're able to see me putting this in. Make sure that you can see. And all I'm doing is just making sure I'm towards the end of it and pushing it in slowly to make sure that we get it. And what's good about using the chenille stems for these, and you can position these any way you want if you want to move them around, or just let them do what they do. stars. Skip. Alright, I'm gonna do the white ones just so I can make sure I spread them out. And then I just gotta do the mix and match, scatter them around. Could actually do a red one here. Red, white, and blue. Gotta love it. And I just noticed I did 2 stars on that one. Do we have a star over there? Let's switch things up. Another thing you could do is do more than one ball. You could do 2 balls, 2 stars, or 1 and 1. Again, entirely up to you. Just kind of looking around to make sure I didn't miss any spots. Alrighty. And back in the basket for another day. Okay. This is what we have. So we can see our little stars in our ball. They're all glittery, so it just kind of gives it a little bit more of, excuse me, more body definition. But this is it. And again, if you still wish to put a sign in the middle, you're welcome to do that, or do a bow to add more of a design. Welcome to do that. But I do so much thank you for joining me in this beginner tutorial, step by step, nice and slow, as requested. Thank you again to Elizabeth for suggesting that. And let me know if there's anything else. Please don't forget, as you're here, to give me thumbs up if you enjoyed this tutorial. Please do subscribe if you haven't already done so, and do check out the supply list in case you did not have the supplies with you to do this video with me. Check out the supplies needed. The embellishments, of course, that is something extra. It's your choice if you want to add that in. But just like wanted to give an additional thing that we could add to wreaths there again, because there's no rules. You can do what you'd like. It's all based on our preferences and the thing that we want to do. So thank you for showing me some love. Thank you for joining me today and for your patience. I know it's been a long video, but I want to make sure that we had the step-by-step as requested. And if any comments, any questions, please leave them on the comments. If I don't get them now while we're here live, you can still leave them later on the recorded video. I do check them periodically so I can make sure I answer your questions. Just do give me some time in case I don't catch it right after you put your questions or comments in. Thanks again for joining me. Again, this is Lena with Especially Made for Me. I'm just gonna go ahead and switch the video so that you'll be able to see my face a little bit better before we say our goodbyes. Thanks again for watching. Just making a patriotic wreath. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Again, if you did, thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Friday, 8 p.m. Central. And until then, please stay safe and don't forget to stay liquid. Thanks again for joining me. Bye-bye.